Ready, set, go. All right. So we're back in our P5 world here. I've just made a quick comment up here at the top saying what the title of my work's going to be. Interaction Color Explorations, Coding for Artists. Put my name in, the date. And I also put a little note in there that this work is inspired by Joseph Albers. So I want to make sure I add that in there. And I may actually add a link into it later when I do the share to the original art that we were kind of playing with. But let's jump into this real quick here. So I have those in, and actually I haven't saved this yet. So let me quickly save this. We'll call this Color Explorations 01. It's week 2-01. We'll do that. All right. So once you do that and make sure you do a save, then your auto save will be enabled. And you want your auto save enabled. You always want that enabled when you're doing any of this kind of coding stuff. I'm going to do a couple quick things here. I'm just going to quickly say and putting in a comment at the end of the setup, end of setup. That way I don't ever forget to have that closing brace. And I'm going to say end of draw. So I just want to put those in. That's good form to do any old time you do it. Now, what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to try to set this up so that we can just play around with the color sets. And we were just talking about the way to do this with the previous one when I was doing the lead up. There is a color mode that we want to play with. And we're going to go to the color mode, and we can look and see that there is a red, green, blue. And there's this HSB one option that we have. And you can see the different kind of ways that the for loops here will work and kind of adjust it. What I'm thinking about doing to start off here is to leave it in the default mode. And what I was thinking of doing is just making it so that we can adjust the red or the green or the blue for the background as we run this. So what I'm going to do from the very beginning here is I'm just going to say mouse X, and then I'm going to say 255, 255. That means my mouse X will be the red color, and then it's going to be green and blue. And whatever I do with my mouse up left and right should then change the red color of the space. So here, if I'm moving it back and forth, you can see that just by changing and taking that one out, it's making these other two much brighter and giving me that kind of teal color. Now, if I change these back around the other way and make them 0, now as I move it across, you're getting just all the red or none of the red. So when it's all 0, remember when you're doing colors in red, green, blue mode, that 0 means it's all absence of light. And your top of your range is 255, that means it's all of the light for that given value, that parameter. So if I turn up all of the blue, red, green, blue, and now I bring my red in, as I move it across, you can see when I'm all the way to the left, it's only showing me blue because my mouse value all the way to the left is 0. And if I move it all the way to the right, now it's turned up all the way. So with a full red and a full, I should be printing this out. Why aren't we printing this out? Let's print this out. It'll be much more clear if we do that, right? Let's do just a text box. We'll say text, mouse X, and we'll say 2020 for its location. So that should put it up here at the top. Let's see how it works. And we're not seeing it. Oh, because, so this is another case where the order of these things matter dramatically. Here I've got my text happening, and then the background goes over top of it and washes it all out and erases it. So it's happening, you just can't see it. Let's run that again. So now we can see it. It's a little bit hard to see because it's black, but we can make our text size a little bit bigger here. We'll do that up top here. Let's see, is that going to make it much bigger? There, we can see it. See a little better there when we run this one. Now, When I'm all the way to the far left, I'm getting into actual negative numbers. As I move it over to the right, you can see how my color changes. Now, this is really kind of a tricky way for me to try to manipulate color because it's just adjusting the red and not the blue. And what we want to be able to do is change the color really for the entire range of the spectrum. I'm happy with making our final product have all the same saturation and brightness, but I want to be able to adjust the color or the hue for each of them. So let's switch our mode now. We'll come up here and just to double check our mode, color mode, HSB, and then it gives me an option here for 100. So let's figure out what that is just to make sure we're on the right track. So by default, color mode for HSB is 360, and then gives us these other couple ranges for our fill. That's our max, our min for the color mode. Now, the trick kind of here with that is that if I wanted to use the values from the color picker, if I go to the color picker, my range numbers for the HSV and the let's see, HSV and the HSL both use a scale, I think, that goes all the way up to 360, if I remember right. Or, oh no, it does. I'm sorry, the hue here you can see goes all the way to 360. So that's where I want to be careful. If I want to change my range, and that's what it's doing here with this, it's making the range only go to 100. So I could choose just how quickly my color changes from one side to the next. I'll keep it for 100 for right now, but know that if you just switch it strictly to HSB, you're going to run into something different. Or, you know what, let's try it. It's all about experimentation here. So I'm going to say HSB mode. I'll take out the extra parameter. I'm going to then know that this is going to be a hue, saturation, brightness. Let me turn this one up. And now as I move it across the screen, you can see I'm starting off with a value around 0. That's my red. As I move it, I'm getting orange and yellow and green. Should get some blue creeping in here, and indigo, and more violet. So now I've got this real rainbow. And because I use the standard HSB command, and my work here is 400 wide, you can see that as it gets over to about 360, then it stops changing color. And if I keep going after that, I'm not going to make it any more red on that end of the spectrum for it. So if I move it back the other way, I'm getting all of my values. So keeping the wider range for this particular instance actually helps. But when we start using the sliders, I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So go in for just a moment. Play around with this HSB mode. If you want to put those other values in, feel free to do that. I could, I guess, make the value be all the way to 400, make it larger if I wanted. Right now, this is going to be 0 to 100. So after 100, you can see it suddenly now is all red. So it's not giving me as much control over it. Let's see, can we go all the way to 400? Will it allow that big a parameter? So it's starting. It did something a little bit different. So I'll have to research what that one does. But I think by default that 360 is probably going to work out. All right, let's leave it in standard HSB mode and experiment with that one. When we come back, we'll start embedding a slider. That'll give us a graphic element that we can then control and do extra things with. So see you in just a moment. Bye.